Now, if you're a Westerner in Thailand, there's a word that if you spend any time here at all, you're going to be totally familiar with. And that word is Farang, meaning foreigner or Westerner. Now, Farang can be quite a cutting word. You know, it kind of, if you're in a shop or something and everybody's talking and, and you hear the word Farang, your ear locks onto it, and you immediately, they're talking about you. And that's probably even more so if you don't speak much Thai, because you're already going to be familiar with the word Farang, so you're not going to understand what's going on. Then you're going to hear that word Farang and it gets your attention and they know they're talking about you. Now, where I live, I'm the only Farang for miles around, and I hear it a lot, just everywhere in the markets, in the shops, in the street, and I've pretty much got used to it. Now, a lot of people see it as an insulting word. It can be, I think it can be an insulting word. It depends on the context in which it's used. It's definitely an impersonal word. There's no doubt about that. It's definitely an impersonal word, but I've reached the conclusion that generally speaking, it isn't meant in an insulting way, and I've kind of I don't think much of it at all now, to be honest. I just kind of, I'm a Farang, it's Farang, oh yeah, they're talking about me. Now, some people don't see it that way, and I guess in today's politically correct society, and people are paying more attention to that kind of thing, they might have a point. It is an impersonal word, perhaps there could be more care that goes into it. And certainly in the Thai language, there are other words they can use. Kon Dang Chat is, meaning a person from another country. That is a more respectful way of saying it. And I must admit, there have been a couple of occasions when I've been referred to as a Farang, and I've got the feeling that it's used in a derogatory way, where I have kind of stepped in and corrected them and said Kon Dang Tat, and they picked up on it and changed the term. I think the one thing is that whether you're right or whether you're wrong, if you decide to interpret it as an insulting term, then you're going to have to get used to being insulted sometimes many times a day. If you go out, perhaps if you're up country and you go out and you hear it all day long and you perceive it as an insult, well, you're going to get angry, and how are you going to feel at the end of the day? And there's that old saying where you can't control the actions of others, but you can control your own actions. And that's the way I've come to think about it. I'm not going to be able to stop them calling me a Farang. If maybe you want to try, every time they call you a Farang, try correcting them. Let me know how you get on. I know where I am now. I wouldn't get anything done. But I also, I think, well, yeah, it is kind of like it is a kind of discriminatory word. You are kind of like, you're a Farang, so they're kind of discriminating. But I get a lot of discrimination up country, and to be quite honest, not all of it is bad. Just walking here today, I had somebody stop and ask me if everything was all right and did I want to lift in their car. And, that was just because I was a Farang. I've been into places where there's queues like clinics and that, and people have just kind of like ushered me into a private room or kind of taken me away from the crowd just because I'm a Farang, So it's kind of like, I don't know, like sometimes it maybe being called a Farang is just the flip side of the fact that quite often you're given preferential treatment. That happens. Maybe it's just a matter of taking the rough with the smooth. But I think, to surmise, that it's kind of like, I think for me it's the only kind of way I can deal with it that's just not going to bother me is the one I've already outlined. Just accept that you're a Farang. What's wrong with being a Farang? Live with it, see the funny side of it. I guarantee you're going to feel better for it at the end of the day. And and one last thought on it is like, well, like you know, maybe there's an argument that you should be happy that anybody notices you at all, you know.